Arizona, March 1994. It's the last game of the college season. In recent weeks, for the team, everything has been going wrong, but the team's star player is in the form of his life. Soon, he'll be off to the NBA. Except, behind the scenes, there's a secret that many of his fans will refuse to believe, because the most incredible scandal is about to unfold. You see, 400 miles away in Vegas, millions and millions of dollars are at stake. All our player has to do is control the game, just like he usually does, except this time, things are different. 6 months earlier, it's the fall of 1993, and in Arizona, with new coach Bill Frieder at the helm, Arizona State finally have a great college basketball team, and they're treated like stars. There's Ryan Riley, Isaac Ice Burton, and the main man, Ice's best friend, the point guard. In basketball, the point guard is the heartbeat, orchestrating plays, setting the tempo, circulating the ball. From Magic Johnson to Steph Curry, a good point guard leads their team, but this kid carries his, because he's that good. As a top scorer in the Pacific 10 Conference, his dream is to win the division and take ASU to the Nationals. Then, as everyone keeps telling him, he's going to the NBA. The team are a hit, and ASU are making a lot of money, but the players aren't seeing any of it. They have no image rights and live off just $130 a month, and sometimes it's a struggle to eat. But the point guard has a plan B, and he's a good kid. But when you come from the ghetto, you learn to find a way, and his way arrives through a guy called Benny Silman, the campus bookmaker. This is how Headache gets into gambling, on pro football and hockey. As a college player, he's not supposed to, but what's the harm? You have to speculate to accumulate, right? By January 1994, however, there's a problem. To win big gambling, you either need to get lucky or bet big, which also means you can lose big. And that's what happens. Before long, he's down $10,000, and the bookie wants his money, and he will get it. To do it, he hooks up our man, Headache Smith, with his friend, a ballsy 22-year-old from Phoenix called Joe Gagliano, who's made a packet from trading bonds in Chicago. Now, some would say that trading bonds is just gambling, and Gagliano also likes to gamble on sports. Some you win, some you lose. He just wants Headache to help. Headache, though, is nervous. He could never throw a match, but as Gagliano explains, he won't have to, all thanks to a simple fix called point shaving. He tells Headache exactly how it will work. Imagine your team is the favourite in an up-and-coming game, with bookmakers predicting that you win by, say, 12 points. This prediction is known as the betting line. With point shaving, you don't have to lose, you just have to win by fewer points than the line, allowing those who bet against the line to win their wager. Basketball is Headache's ticket out of poverty. Maybe that journey starts here. Now he can win and make money. He agrees with Gagliano to do 2 games. After that, he needs to be on his A game, because the closer he gets to the end of the season, the more the NBA scouts will be watching. To do the job, he'll get $20,000 per game. More money than he can ever even imagine. As backup, he ropes in his best buddy Ice with an envelope of cash that he just can't refuse, $1,000. He's the best free throw shooter in the game, but if he has to miss a couple, so what? On January 27th, 1994, the Sun Devils face Oregon State. The bookies predict it's an easy win for ASU, setting the line at 12.5 points. For Gagliano, there's no room for error. Betting lines can change and mistakes can be made. So, as agreed, he calls Headache before the match and says his team can lose or they can win, but the most they can win by is 6. Aim for that. While Headache thinks he's in the money, Gagliano heads off to Vegas to bet $500,000. Money belonging to him, Silman, and various other contacts. Now, when you're betting big, there are things you can do to avoid attention. The first is to bet small, so Gagliano recruits his dad and 2 friends. The 4 each place bets over 30 different sportsbooks across the city and offshore. Each bet is for just under $10,000, $9,900 to be precise, because bets over that require a currency transaction report, a red flag to the IRS to inspect your tax affairs. Plus, betting through many unconnected bookmakers means no single bookie is likely to smell a rat. When one side of the line attracts more money than the other, a bookie adjusts it to even things out. If these adjustments happen too often, the bookie will notice, and then it's game on. Gagliano can't watch, literally. Where he is, the game isn't being shown. All he can do is sit and watch the latest score appear across the ticker, and at first, he doesn't like what he sees. because over in Arizona, Headache is smashing it, taking ASU to a 15-point lead. This wasn't the plan. But whilst Headache's bagging buckets galore, he does have it under control, and soon he's pulling all sorts of tricks out to put the brakes on and bring Oregon State back into the game. He walks the ball up the court, super slow, killing time. He deliberately loses the ball, allowing turnovers. He gives Oregon State shooters extra space just to make life easier, and he passes to his teammates in positions they can't score from. It's subtle. Headache scores a career-high 39 points, including an incredible 10 three-pointers, but the game ends 88-82, a win of exactly 6 points. The commentators call it a sloppy performance from ASU, with the exception of Headache Smith. Gagliano banks $1.1 million. Headache 2 is elated. As long as you're winning, nobody ever suspects nothing. What could possibly go wrong? 2 days later, on Saturday, January 29th, 1994, the team head to Oregon. Over in Vegas, Gagliano will be betting all of his $1.1 million, so staying under the radar should be harder. Except this is Super Bowl weekend. It's the Dallas Cowboys versus the Buffalo Bills. When Vegas goes extra crazy and even more money gets wagered than usual, the line is again at 12.5. And again, when Headache gets the call, the instruction is to lose, or win by no more than 6. The trouble is, his teammates are on fire, and soon ASU are up by 18. It's bad news, and Headache hasn't even scored. To add to the pressure, Benny Silman, the Mr. Fix-It behind the whole thing, is sat right behind the bench staring, just so Headache doesn't forget. A free throw gets missed, that helps. But before Headache can really turn things around, disaster. He twists his ankle, badly. He's screaming on the floor. He's helped off the court. Surely it's game over. Surely the fix is off. It's too late for that though. He has to find a way. They have to win by no more than 6 points. So he gets strapped up, sticks on a pair of high tops, hobbles back on, and that's exactly what happens. It's an 84-78 win. And now Gagliano has $2.5 million. Everyone has what they came for. So now it's time to stop, right? For Headache and Ice, it's party time. They've never had this kind of money, so it's spend, spend, spend. Cell phones, no one at college has one of those yet. Chains, earrings, diamonds, food for everyone, and pimped up rides. Headache even makes a down payment on a badass $30,000 GMC Typhoon. And everyone just assumes the star man is getting an advance from some sports agent who'll soon be taking him to the big time. Everyone except a sports columnist for the Arizona Republic called Kent Summers. While whispers are starting to circulate and Summers starts digging, Gagliano thinks that the arrangement is done, until Headache, without telling Ice, calls him with a new proposition. This time, he wants to bet. And that's fine with Gagliano. If Headache has the money, he'll place the bet for him. But the money's all spent, so Gagliano agrees to front up the cash. But if Headache loses, they'll have to talk. He doesn't put any money on the game himself, but it's still an interesting watch, because for Headache, this one's about proving he's the man, because the game is against UCLA, the big dogs. So this time, it's not ASU who are the favourites, it's their opponents. It's February 17th, 1994. The line is set at 4, and Headache is betting on himself and ASU. He needs to make sure that they win, or lose by less than 4, and the game is tight. The two teams are neck and neck. But in the closing moments, UCLA go up by 2, 4, and then 6 points. There are seconds left on the clock. For ASU, it's over. 76-70 to UCLA. They can't win. But Headache is playing a secret game. No one understands why he grabs the ball, looking like his life depends on it. And when the clock starts ticking, he bursts forward and attempts a desperate three-pointer. It hits the rim, but doesn't drop. And Headache is distraught. No one gets why, but he knows what has to happen next. 2 days later, on February 19th, 1994, Headache agrees to shave points one more time in ASU's game against USC, just to wipe out his $20,000 debt. Gagliano has $2.5 million to bet, and this time, no Super Bowl to hide behind. He heads back to Vegas and follows the exact same steps as before, but this time, he can't stop his huge bet from shifting the line from 11 down to 6. And that's something that the bookies might notice. Gagliano makes the call. As before, ASU need to lose or win by less than 6. In fact, they go down by 12, losing 56-68. Maybe Headache has a day at the office. Maybe he goes easy, just to make sure. just to get himself back in the black. Either way, he's now into something he never wanted. He's losing games. And maybe he's losing his mind. To Kent Summers secretly investigating for the Republic, it just looks off. Gagliano, though, is delighted. At 23 years of age, he has $5 million in a safety deposit box, and now it's over. He can't imagine anything could persuade him to go again. But then there's a problem. It comes in the shape of a dangerous character known as Big Red. 600 pounds, unmissable red hair, a drug dealer. He's been in touch with Silman. Someone's been talking. He wants in on the scam, and he isn't taking no for an answer. Gagliano isn't keen at all, but soon realises he has no choice. If he steps back and sets them to run the deal, a psychopath and a compromised bookmaker, then when it all goes wrong, and it will go wrong, it will still lead back to him. At least if he stays on the inside, he can control things. And hey, what the hell? Just turn that 5 million into 10. Silman ups the offer to $40,000 and Headache is in. He's broke again, so on the 5th of March 94, Gagliano hops on an early plane from Chicago and flies back to Vegas. He follows the usual routine, $9,900 bets through as many trustworthy people at as many parlours as possible. And it all seems to be going okay, until one of the cashiers asks for a quiet word. Hey Joe, there was just some big £600 guy in here with red hair that just bet on Washington too. Plus there are kids all around town with ASU shirts that are betting $20 bills like they know the final score. It could only mean one thing. Word was well and truly out on campus about the fix. And that spells big trouble. By the time Gagliano's $3 million bet, the line has dropped from 12 to 3, the largest one-day movement in betting line history. Normally, you might see 10 line changes as the bookies try to balance things out, but this time, the line has moved 44 times. The stress is exhausting, so Gagliano makes the call and heads to his room to watch the game, over to Headache. In Arizona, the game has to land on 3. If he wants to shave points but win, the margin for error is tiny. And again, ice isn't involved. Headache wants that $40,000 for himself, so it's all on him. Luckily, the team are awful. They missed their first 14 shots. Washington go up by 7, 9, 10 points. ASU fans start booing. For Gagliano, it looks to be in the bag. Exhausted, he falls asleep. At halftime in the match though, Coach Frieda has a lot to say. The Sun Devils are still in contention for the Nationals, but they have to win. Headache needs to get on his game. Scouts are watching him and they won't like what they're seeing. And worst of all, Coach Frieda has had a call. We've received a call from the FBI. They said this game is under investigation. Anybody have anything to do with it, they better let me know. Spotting unusual betting patterns, Jimmy Vaccaro, a sportsbook director at the Mirage, has alerted the Nevada Gaming Commission. It was an innocuous Saturday afternoon game that normally would attract about $40,000 in wagers, and the commission calls the FBI. So now Headache gets scared, or a conscience. And while Gagliano sleeps, he turns the game around and moves ASU to the upper limit where they can be, 3 up. When Gagliano wakes up in the middle of the night, with the TV blaring an infomercial and the game long finished, he heads down to the screens to check out the scores and confirm the win of a lifetime. And there he sees it. The final score, ASU won 73-55 by 18 points. The Chicago bonds trader has lost every cent that he bet. The next day, the Arizona Republic leads on a possible scandal, but as far as Headache's concerned, it's history. The season is over, and now it's time for the future, his destiny. Finally, he's about to be drafted. On June 29th, 1994, it's time. The NBA draft from Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, live on TNT. He watches on with his family, teammates, and friends, except he's not the first pick, nor the second, or even the third. In fact, on the day his dreams are supposed to come true, he doesn't get picked at all. He's one of the best, and he knows that. Everyone does. So there can only be one reason. His name is Mud. The FBI follows the money and discovers $8.7 million bet on fixed games. And in December of '97, a Phoenix grand jury hands down a 72-count federal indictment accusing those involved of sports bribery, racketeering, and money laundering. Gagliano is told he has destroyed the fabric and trust of college athletics. He's sentenced to 15 months in federal prison and ordered to pay $28,000 in restitution. He sees himself as a product of his environment. When you use the word successful honest trader, those are oxymorons, because in order to achieve success, you have to play the grey areas. As the mastermind who made it all happen, Benny Silman gets 46 months and must pay $100,000. Isaac Ice Burton is sentenced to 6 months in a halfway house, 3 years probation, and $8,500 in restitution. Coach Frieda, himself a keen gambler, is cleared of any involvement, but points out the scale of the problem. 25% of student athletes who have been interviewed are betting on games. Gambling is an addiction of the 90s. It's everywhere. He never coaches again. Stephen Headache Smith is sentenced to a year and a day in federal prison and must pay $8,000 in restitution. But the greatest price he pays is the damage to his career, which never takes off. He manages 2 10-day trials in the NBA and sees out his playing days in minor leagues around the world. Don't betray the game you love, because if you do, it's something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. As of 2021, college athletes can make money by selling their image rights. Perhaps if they can earn what they're worth, it makes cheating less likely, not according to the expert Tom McMillan. If gambling on colleges is in 20 or 30 states, there is 100% chance of a point shaving scandal. In fact, it's probably happening somewhere right now, and if they don't get greedy, don't spend dumbly, and don't blab to all the wrong people, they'll probably get away with it.